Happy Sunday, YouTube. Sam's Horror Movies and more back at you with another video. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. I want to thank everybody who's been stopping by, leaving comments, dropping likes on my videos. You guys rock. You guys are legends. So, with all that said, drop me a like, leave me a comment. Now, today, we're going to talk about who are the Graveyard Five. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description for their video. Their one song was Marble Orchard, okay? Now, the Graveyard Five was a band. It was kind of like a garage band out of Lakeport, California, circa 1967. I know this isn't my, I'm not a hippie. I already went all over all that. But these guys they were kind of a goth band, and I used to work in a graveyard, and I got a kind of a connection. Like I'm at home in a graveyard. Like that it doesn't bother me to be in a graveyard. So that's the first thing. But these guys just kind of resonated with me, and I like the song Marble Orchard. I'm going to leave a timestamp down there too because it goes into the story, guys. The Graveyard Five is a crazy story. So let's tell the story of the Graveyard Five. Now, I would have the records they pressed were on old 45 vinyl, and they're so rare and so obscure to find one would cost you $4,000 or $5,000, and we'll get into that. So, Marble Orchard is a song that the Graveyard Five came up with. Now, we have Louis Schreiner was lead guitarist, and we had Steve Kupinger and hold on. Louis Schreiner, lead guitar and vocals. Steve Kupinger, bass guitar and vocals. Dave Templeton played drums, and Dennis Roller, rhythm guitar. Now, why are they called the Graveyard Five? Because I can hear the mathematicians in my comments now. Sam, there's only 4 people there. You got to explain. The first mystery is their name, right? Like, you got to explain what the 5th member of the Graveyard Five was. Well, when they would perform, they'd go like, they do these, opening sets for other bands and stuff. They won this Battle of the Bands competition and got signed to a label. But before that, they would when they performed, they would bring a coffin onto the stage, and sometimes they'd have one of their friends in it, and sometimes they'd put a bunch of bats in there and open it up during the middle of their set. These guys lived the gimmick, and unfortunately for them, they lived it a little bit too much, and that's kind of what I'm going to explain. Kind of how Marble Orchard came about, and a little bit of background here so that we can understand. And guys, you're not going to understand. It's crazy. Okay, so they all basically met at the they basically met at this gas station, basically just by chance, and decided to get together and start a band, right? So let me see here. I'm trying to go through here. They got a following in Redding, California, I guess. They're well known out west, but I've never heard of these guys before. Never heard of them. So, sorry, I was trailing off there, guys. I'm trying to read this as I'm going, trying to refresh my memory. So, a little bit about Lakeport. Lakeport, California is basically, it's a town, and on one side of this town is a lake, and that's known as Clear Lake. So, going into a bit of the history here, because in order to understand what happened, you have to understand the history of the area. In the 1850s, there was a massacre of Pomo women and children by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So, like, it's already got kind of a dark, morbid history to it, right? And then there's all kinds of, like, tales of pig man running around and all this and that. But just a little bit of, you guys should do some research on Lake City and that on your own time. Because I don't really want to get too off topic here. But anyway. So basically, the song "Marble Orchard," they were in a graveyard. It was a night in October, and there was lightning, and there was thunder, and all this and that. And they're nursing a bottle of Thunderbird in a Studebaker at Hartley Cemetery, which is in the city in California. And basically, the song "Marble Orchard" is about a paranormal experience they had at the cemetery. Now, when they went into the studio, like, here's the thing about this, guys. Like, after they did the Ouija board thing and all this, like, a bunch of crazy stuff started happening. This Louis guy was mentally unstable. He took, like, the reason their album is so rare, they said he took a whole stack of them, and he was tripping LSD, and he freaked out, and he burned all these all these extra copies of this song, right? And it ended up like that. Him and the band ended up splitting up, and he went and they had another album already produced, recorded, and everything. And he was in Florida at the time, and he took everything and he threw it in an alligator infested lake, and then threw his amp in, and then hopped on his amp and pedaled around on his amp in the water with the guitar. The guy had lost his mind, right? And going into the recording studio thing, I remember every time, this is Steve Kuppeninger, by the way, that's talking here. I remember every time the band went into a recording studio, the engineer used to curse us because he couldn't get the place warm. He told us that once that 30 minutes before we came in, the place was nice and warm, but the minute we got there and set up, the temperature went down. I want to bring this up. They said all the girls that they had around them always had to wear coats because it was always so cold. I think what happened is between the LSD and the paranormal way. I know that some of you guys may not believe in this stuff, but just follow me here. I'm not saying what you have to believe. I'm just saying what I believe, basically. But they played around with the Ouija board, and then they went into this graveyard, and the LSD, man, like it opens your mind up to things. They lived the gimmick, but they made mistakes along the way to where something attached itself to them. Now, in the song Marge Bowl Orchard, I'm going to leave a timestamp in the description with my link. Excuse me. And at 1 minute and 47 seconds, you can hear a demonic growl in that song. It wasn't there when they recorded it, and nobody heard it until they put it out there. And I found out by this article that I'm reading right now about that. And I actually somehow I missed it. So when I went back and listened to the song after I read it in the article, I'm like, wow, how did I miss that? So 1 minute and 47 seconds, guys. This is a crazy story. So in the end, after the band broke up, like I said, they only made one song and they broke up. And here's what Steve has to say about it. I wish I knew where this guy, I wish I could find this guy and talk to him. So there was something very strange that followed that band, he says, and I think it took its toll on Lewis, Kuppringer says. I think it has hit all of us. Dave is in prison, and hell, Lewis might even be dead by now. The last time I talked to him, he was very bad off, and I haven't gotten away clean. Here's something fun for you guys. 30 years ago, reflex sympathetic dystrophy hit me. It's basically a disease, and it causes very severe chronic pain, and it's incurable. Okay. Let me see. Dennis Roller got burned very bad on both arms, his chest, and his back, and most of his little finger was burned off. Sometimes when it is really late and stormy, I can feel it almost like it's waiting out in the dark for me to start another band. And that, my friends, is the story of the Graveyard Five, a band that flew too close to the sun, opened themselves up to things that maybe you shouldn't be opening yourself up to. But man, it's a banger song, guys. You got to check the song out. It's a banger song. So with that said, guys, I rambled on for about 5 minutes here. I just wanted to tell you guys of a crazy story. What do you guys think about it? Do you guys believe in the paranormal? Do you guys think I'm crazy for reading this stuff? Do you think YouTube's trying to sabotage me by recommending these? Just leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm not telling anybody what to believe. I just thought it was an interesting, neat story. Whether the story's true or not, it's one hell of a story, and it's one hell of a cool story for a band to have. So, hey, man, you got to hang your hat on what you can, right? So with all that said, guys, do me a favor. Give every day your very, very, very best, and leave the results to God, not a Ouija board. Peace.